Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the third video of the 50 kilowatt Supermoto build. A lot's happened since the last video on the bike and also with me. If you're wondering why I've got a sling on, I actually had a motorbike crash. I have spent the last 2 weeks in hospital and since then I've been at home in a sling for about a week. I actually punctured my lung, I broke 6 ribs, I broke my collarbone and my scapula as well, so my shoulder blade. It wasn't on this bike, no matter what would be the most likely. It was actually on a just a 450 dirt bike. What happened was I was just riding along, coming down a hill, just cruising around a corner, and instantly the front brakes locked on, washed out and threw me straight down into the ground. I smashed my head and my shoulder. It was quite scary to go through, but luckily I had all my gear on. I had my helmet on, I had all my race gear on that I got from mxstore.com.au. I don't know if you can see, but the helmet's all smashed up, it's cracked all through here. The boots are all shredded along the side, but the main thing is all of my riding gear is all cut to pieces from the paramedics, who were absolutely amazing. They were there literally within 6 minutes. There were some really cool people there who happened to hear the crash and come out and check if I was okay, and I wasn't. But the thing is, with this crash, and the reason I'm mentioning it in the video, with this crash, I was literally just going for a ride to the shops. I was doing 50 k's an hour, and what actually happened was the front brakes of the bike must have had some water in the fluid. The brake fluid is hygroscopic. Over time, if you don't service your brake fluid, it can absorb water. In this case, the bike hadn't been ridden for a long time, and as I was going down the hill, it just reached that point where it was above 100 degrees, enough to flash boil the water in the brake line. Instantly applied full pressure and washed out the bike and smashed me into the ground. So I'm not upset that it happened. I wish it didn't, but it was definitely a good lesson on just make sure you wear your gear all the time and get the best safety gear that you can afford, because you might never use it, but when you do. I was in hospital for quite a while, and the doctor said 100%. I made a joke actually. The surgeon was doing after the surgery on my shoulder here. The surgeon made a joke. I made a joke and I said, "Oh, lucky I was wearing my riding jacket. Otherwise, you would have been having to do the surgery through a scab." And he said, "Mate, that wouldn't have been a problem for me. I wouldn't have been doing any surgery. You wouldn't have even made it into this operating room. You would have gone straight into the ER and out to the morgue." So the fact that I had the safety gear on for a quick ride to the shops is something I'll always be grateful for. And if there is a takeaway from that, it's no matter what you're doing, test rides, riding to the shop, make sure you put your gear on, because yeah, you don't know what's going to happen. This was a freak accident I was never expecting. It was my fault. I should have serviced the brakes more often. But the fact that I had the gear on meant in 6 weeks' time I'll be able to use my arm again. No worries, my hand's fine. So I'm pretty stoked actually. That aside, we're going to have a bit of a chat about what's happened on the bike. Quite a lot's happened, and I'll run you through it now. So the mail guy came, and I'm going to assume most of this is for the Supermoto build. Rebuild kit from If It Works. So this is the last part of the main mechanical stuff we've got to do. We'll replace all the bearings through the bike, all the bushings, and now our rear shock rebuild kit has arrived. Been waiting for this one for a little while, and we're super stoked to get it. This is the new handlebar switches. So we've got our left and our right. It's our new start indicator, hazards, high beam, low beam, left, right, and parkers, etc. So this is for our harness. Pretty dope, that one's here. And our indicator lights. What I'm doing with these ones is we've got high and low beam, which is a blue LED, a red, which is a BMS failure, yellow, which is probably going to be indicator. Not really sure what I'm going to use that one for, just a random one. And a green is a BMS all good. So that's how we are going to see how our battery is performing and see how things are going. This is the main fuse from our battery pack to the rest of the system. So this thing weighs probably nearly half a kilo, a pound or so. 630 amp, 450 volts, 415 volts. This is our big fail safe, so it's a little bit bigger than I like. I think I got a smaller one as well from Voltron. Battery terminals, 90 degrees, so we can fit our battery in. We tried to bend normal ones, but the normal ones, even when we heated them up with even when we heated the copper up, we were still getting some issues with them cracking. So we bit the bullet and bought new ones. 70mm square butt cable joiners. Copper cable links. That's for our main battery wires. Oh, sick. We are mounting the 7-inch display on the handlebars, and this is all the RAM mounts for it, and their connectors, etc. So this will go there, that'll go there, and that'll mount down on the handlebars like that. I'm pretty excited to get that one sorted. Sweet. 12 volt or 24 or 12 volt DC step down converter. We will be running this off our 90 volt to 12 volt converter, and this will be stepping down to 5 volts, so we can have the dash or the pad charging at all times when we're plugged into the bike. So. Heat shrink, that's for our main battery and phase cables, any joins and stuff. We wanted to have it's a 3-to-1 heat shrink, so a little bit better than the 2-to-1. It's got a glue inside. Once it's on there, it has like a hot glue inside it, so it'll shrink right down to 1/3 of the size of the. Screw down cable mounts. So what we do is we put a riv nut into the frame, and then a little tie goes around that, so we can route all of our cables through the bike. NCOP 14 regulations state that all the wiring on the bike has to be secured at no more than 600 mil apart. So I've got to do some cable routing with the harness I showed you guys last episode. That's going to really help us out. Catalog, my favourite thing, electronics catalogs. Okay, it's a box of electronics. So these are the pins for the BMS. We've been waiting on those so we can do the wiring for all the other cells. They can communicate to the battery management system. We've got this is pretty interesting. These are little relays, so we can run a closed loop signal through the battery management system through these relays, and if the circuit is broken or if it's open, it'll control our indicator lights for the BMS. So They're pretty cool. Tiny little ultra low current draw reed relay switches. More indicator lights, different types of indicator lights. I probably won't use those, the LEDs are going to be better. Nothing major, just some hookup wire for battery management system again, and some general 2-core figure 8 wire again. Alright, cool. Most exciting part is we were waiting on those fuses and that mount so we can start the next point. We've made a heap of progress on the bike this week. Let's go have a look at it. Come over here and we'll run through everything that we've done since last time on the bike. We'll start at the front. So as you can see here, we've got the radiator finish that I showed you before. It's all mounted in an aluminium enclosure. At the end of the last video I showed the batteries, how they were going to be mounted, so now you can really see exactly what we were talking about. This is a 3mm aluminium box with a 3mm polycarbonate lining in here. You can just see in here some of the top of the wiring. This is all going to be sealed up and the battery management system is in there. We've got our brake lines custom made. We've got our brake rotors on and everything is getting safety wired, getting ready for Supermoto. Before the crash we were actually ready to go out, so we're getting quite close there. Up here we've got all of our phase wires, our battery wires. We've got our 2 main battery packs here. This is the 1000 amp contactor, 1000 amp fuse. We've got our 1000 amp contactor there. Up the top of the bike, this is the reservoir for the cooling system. It runs from here, or to here, down the front through the radiator, back up into the controller here, and then out and through. So this cooling system does about 25 litres a minute, and that's more than enough for this system. Up here we've got our dash. This is on while we're riding, or we can program our controller during the ride. So this whole bike is absolutely programmable. And we can see our data and all that sort of stuff as we go. We've got our brake levers on. We've got our Pro Taper bars and our forks and all that sort of stuff as before in the thing. We've had to modify some of the fairings to fit, but this will all be powder coated black, so you won't see any of this. Down here we've put a CNC chain guide on. This was CNC'd and bent out. Then we've got our 520 chain. We've got a stand on temporarily because when we register it, it has to have a stand. Behind this guard here, this is our controller. In the last video, we hadn't had it mounted up. You can see all the cooling lines and everything are connected, and they came out quite well. All of our decals, all of our fairings, everything's going to be decaled from ringmasterimages.com.au. I haven't done that one yet. I've got to design that up soon. If you guys got any ideas for the name of the bike, we'll get that one going. Down here, CNC'd up a couple of parts. We've got a CNC machine just for this project. We've got our big knob sliders on. We've powder coated our foot pegs. The first part of the bike we've got powder coated here is the motor mount. The rest of this will all be the same. This is all going to be powder coated black, and the frame will stay silver. A few people noticed in the last video I had some PC cooling lines. We've actually scrapped all them, and we've gone with aeroflow lines and aeroflow fittings all the way through. So all the cooling system is race lines now. The reservoir has all aeroflow stuff, only because we were getting a little bit higher pressure than we expected with the pump, and we wanted to make sure it wasn't going to crush the hoses in on us. So I'm actually super stoked to say that we took it for a ride the other day. I'll show you some video of that in a second. We did 0 to 100 runs, and as is, we managed to pull a 2.9 second 0 to 100, or 0 to 60 if you guys are in the States. That is super fast for a bike that used to be a 250. Our top speed at the moment is about 160 to 170, but we can modify that by changing the rear sprocket or the front sprocket. So we're going to do a bit of track tuning on that one in the next episode. In the meantime, here's some video of when we took it out the other day before I did my arm. The next steps on the bike are to powder coat all of this, powder coat the battery boxes. I'm not sure about doing the guards yet, but I've got to powder coat the engine mount, make a chain guard up. We actually have made a full-size, industrial-size powder coating oven just to get some stuff done for the bike. As you can see, the main battery box is in here getting done at the moment. It comes out absolutely amazing, so I'm really stoked at that for a little home job. Putting the safety gear, which literally saved my life. No joke, I got it about 2 weeks before the crash, 3 weeks before the crash, and without it I would have been actually dead. So I don't mean to harp on about it. Wear your safety gear every ride, no matter what, all the gear, all the time. Thanks also to Big Knob Sliders. This bike had a slide during the test day, went for a slide about 50 meters, absolutely no marks on the bike, just the sliders are a bit scuffed up. So thanks very much for watching. Next video, we're going to powder coat everything. We're going to start installing the 12 volt system, and we're going to start ticking off things for NCOP 14 engineering. So it's getting there. It's really, really exciting, and hopefully as soon as my arm heals, we'll be back out for our first Supermoto debut. So thanks very much for watching. See you guys next episode. Okay.
Move on.